Wings and things. Stop on by today and put your taste bud to the test.
You lift my heart up when the rest of me is down.
Look. Wait, who is that? TC? Hey, TC, what's up?
Well, I'm in the day of grace, I look over the fence, yeah.
What are you doing over on that side of the fence?
TC, man, come over to the right side, the God side.
Why, Grace, and to share with everything that's happening in the world right now, you don't even know which side is the right side.
Join us right here on Flexx FM every Thursday night from 5 to 8 to hear Gracie explain just why the God side is the right side for life. This is a public service announcement. If you're riding, please remember to wear your helmet. If you're driving, remember to fasten your seatbelt. Do not text while driving. Remember always to be on alert for any pedestrians. This has been a message from the Safety Department of Flexx FM.
Yeah, blessings we are reap and we coursing on full. Oh, we not rise and boast. Yeah, we give thanks like we need it the most. We have to give thanks like we really supposed to be thankful. Blessings all for my life and my thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, we see blessings fall by my right hand. But I toast for the friends who take off every load one time. Third form, me say me try a thing, and you know it formed up to be a fire thing. Now up on stage with chronic, say I sing, yeah, see me all diggy soon, get the higher ring like hello, brother. Say I had to short ya, saw your poster, spectacular photo. Keep it burning, yes, that's the motto. If me the butter pass through your soul to can't fall in a life, man. Me have to thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall.
Welcome to the Coffee and Tea Time Show here on flexfm.live, and we want to welcome you to another segment of our show. And we are in the coffee segment, and we have this evening two wonderful ladies who are going to be talking to us some more about immigration, about divorce, investment planning. And Opal, we are also going to be talking a little bit more about what we do. And
LMC
of course,
Financial Services.
yes, so our company, LMC Financial Services, the Coffee and Tea Time Show, it's brought to you by LMC Financial Services. And our numbers are 954-226-4112 or 954-446-4001. And Opal, let's talk a little bit more about what we do.
Well, just saying, welcome to our listeners this evening, and just a little bit about our company, LMC Financial Services. We are in the business of financial services.
Yes.
Of course, we offer help to individuals to dispute and remove all negative items that's on their credit report.
Exactly.
We have programs that also will help you to restore and to build.
Yes.
So it's not just repairing your credit. We help you to build your credit as well.
Exactly.
We also offer services as will, living trust, and power of attorney. So we'll be talking to Attorney Goss this evening a little more about how her area of law is, our services can help her clients.
Yes. And also, if you have no credit, we can help you to establish credit. And one of the things people don't know is, Opal, that you can use your rental history to establish a positive trade line. So if you have lived somewhere a year or 2 years, we can add it to your credit report, or have them add it to your credit report, sorry.
Yes, we can go back 2 years.
2
We can
years,
use 2 years
yes.
of your rental history as a positive trade line. That's the service we offer to help to
Exactly.
build credit.
Yes.
It gives you that history. We can go as far back 2 years.
Right.
Only 2 years back.
And a lot of people have had evictions, repossessions. And if you've had an eviction from your home, you're renting, they evicted you, You've straightened out yourself. Now you're renting. You're looking to buy a home. Use that rental history because it can significantly increase your credit score. And we want people to know that if you are struggling with credit, you don't have to give up. You don't have to say, oh, there's no way out. There's always a way out. But the first thing you want to do is think about becoming responsible.
Absolutely.
Think about not shopping and buying all the time and maxing out your credit. There's
But
a way
how
to
use credit.
how to utilize
Absolutely.
it. And one of the things that I realized that the credit card companies want you to do is that if they give you a card for, say, $500, just use about 25, no more than 30%. And you want to be able to pay that off each month. So be wise, spend wisely, utilize your credit wisely, so that way you won't end up having high consumer debt that is going to be a struggle to pay off. Then you have to file bankruptcy. Then the bankruptcy is going to be on your credit report for 7 to 10 years?
Yes, but as we know, with our program, you don't have to wait 7 years
Exactly.
to
True.
to dispute that bankruptcy on your credit.
Yes. Okay. So that is what we do. And if you need our services, it's 954-226-4112 or
954-446-4001.
all right. And we want to welcome our first guest, Miss Kristen Goss. She's an attorney. She does estate planning. She also does divorce. If you have had a divorce, then you want to be calling on her. Kristen, welcome.
Thank you all
Welcome.
for me being here.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
Now, Kristen, one of the things I want you to do before we push off and start asking you questions is tell our listeners and our viewers what kind of law do you practice?
Okay. So I practice primarily family law. So that would be divorce, anything pertaining to division of alimony, child support. We have time sharing issues when it comes to the children. Also paternity actions, fathers who are establishing their rights for their child or their children. We have name changes, adoptions. I'm also a certified guardian ad litem, so I represent abused and neglected children. I'm also a certified Florida Supreme Court certified family mediator. So I mediate all the time, probably at least 4 times each week, contracted through the Broward County Courthouse as well as private mediation.
Okay.
And in addition to that, I also practice estate planning because the two go hand in hand. When, for example, individuals are getting divorced, they have to look back at their estate plans because oftentimes they change when they're getting divorced, whether it be a beneficiary change, whether they have to redo their wills, their trusts, etc. So I do a lot, I would say 50% estate planning as well.
Okay, and that also includes if they have to split their assets.
Yes.
Okay, they have to,
Take a look.
take a look at the whole picture and see how they're going to rearrange their assets.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Kristen, you do divorce. One of the things, as you know, we are in the credit, repair business. How does divorce affects somebody's credit?
It could have a huge impact on someone's credit because oftentimes when people are married, they share a lot of assets together. They share a lot of debts. Their names are titled in the property that they own. Their names are titled together in credit card debt, and etc. So when they get divorced, if they're not careful with how they go about doing things, someone can stop paying out of spite or whatever the situation may be, and the other person's credit is ruined. So it does go hand in hand, and I've seen that oftentimes, unfortunately, happen.
Okay, so going into that marriage then, what would be the best suggestion just in case it goes sour down the road?
I would suggest having a prenuptial agreement, which is something that I also do for those who are contemplating getting married. We all know that, when you get married, you hope that
it's not going to
you're going to
you're not going to end up in a divorce court.
Correct.
That's not what you're thinking.
Correct.
Exactly.
But in the event it does happen, then you want to make sure that you have things in writing to protect yourself.
Okay.
So that's one way to make sure that things are taken care of. Sometimes you can kind of anticipate a divorce occurring, so You might want to
Isn't that sad?
start rearranging some things in advance to protect yourself. If you, in the event you did not do a prenuptial or have a prenuptial agreement, or even a postnuptial after you get divorced.
Oh, you can do a post.
You can do a post after you get married. You can.
Is that based on both of you agreeing to stuff, or you can just go ahead and do it? Wouldn't that be? Can an individual contest that?
An individual can contest it if it was not voluntary for both parties.
Okay, so it has to be voluntary.
Yes.
Okay.
And once you're married, if you enter into an agreement, you have to disclose. There's more liability to make sure that you disclose everything.
Okay.
As far as your assets, your debts, businesses that are owned, that's another issue, having businesses titled in both names.
Okay. All right. Now, for estate planning, both of you are married, happily married, have those children, and you're getting on in years, or even your kids might still be young. What's the importance of really setting up your estates?
It's extremely important, and I would say it's for everyone. A lot of times people wait until, I'm getting a little older, I need to start thinking about my loved ones. I have a case, this happened a few years ago, sad story, a 2-year-old lost both of his parents. His dad was very abusive to mom, killed mom, and then turned around and committed suicide. So the child ended up in adoption proceedings eventually, but what happens if
to that
both
child?
parents...
There was nothing in place to say who there, where that child would, or who would be with that child.
Correct. And, or on it's still a sad situation, but not as a parent shooting another parent. If you get in a car accident,
exactly,
as a family, and you leave your children behind, what's going to happen? So it's very important to make sure that you have your affairs in order in the event something or the unexpected happens.
Okay. So in terms of, say, when you're setting up that estate, what are the assets, or what is it you want to be putting into that estate? Is it just your home? Is it bank accounts? What do you put in that estate?
So it oftentimes goes like this. I would start, and I'm sure this is something that you offer.
Similar, yes.
You would do a durable power of attorney. That's in the event you can no longer make financial decisions for yourself. So make sure you designate someone for that. A healthcare surrogate designation for healthcare decisions, and a living will in the event there's no hope of recovery. Who's going to make the decision to pull the plug? In addition to that, as far as the estate planning aspect, if you own a home, for example, together, sometimes I see where the parties are married, but the home might be listed in one spouse's name. So there are ways. I oftentimes like to do what you call a ladybird deed, where in the event something happens to the owner, the property automatically transfers without going through probate, which is something that you definitely want to
because
avoid.
Their name is not on the title.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is one of the things I realize, though, especially with what we do. I've spoken to a lot of people who are not necessarily they're immigrants, and most people don't even know what even a trust or a living trust is. So what I would love for you to do is tell the listeners the difference between the will and a living trust.
Okay, so both are in the event you pass away, what's going to happen, who's going to get your things. With a last will and testament, that specifically specifies who gets what, but it does not avoid probate. And that's a misconception I think people have. They feel like when they have a will, all is good and that's it. But the will just directs who gets what in the event that something happens, which is good to have something. Something is better than nothing. But a lot of times people create living trusts because they want to make sure to avoid probate.
And they put down exactly who gets what, who the beneficiaries are, percentages, what they want, jewelry, if it may be personal, items that they want somebody specific to get. They make that clear, and they don't have to pay, as you say, for probate or for transfer. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
And
that's in the case of the living trust.
Yes.
Okay.
And it avoids creditors. There's a way to avoid creditors as well if you have an
a
issue.
question I have for that too. There are different types of living.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
living
there's
trust.
the irrevocable and the revocable trust. Each has their benefits, but for the most part, people should have a revocable trust. So in the event things change, and things can change, you can make sure that you update as needed.
Okay.
So, the trust would be named or titled in whomever the owner, or the trustee is going to be, and then the assets that you want would be placed into the trust.
Okay. So which one protects you from your creditors?
So the revocable trust would protect from your creditors.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the one you would recommend to people who are preparing their estate, doing estate planning.
Okay. All right, Kristen. Now, what I would like for you to do is let the listeners know and the viewers where you're located.
Okay.
And you can also give them your phone number.
Okay. So I'm located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's off of Cypress Creek in Andrews. The exact address is 6750 North Andrews Avenue, Suite 200, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33309. And my phone number is 954-695-6512.
Okay, and give them a list of what you do. You do divorce, you do estate planning, what else?
So it's pretty much
divorce would
law,
include alimony, child support, time sharing, name changes, adoptions, guardian ad litem work, and mediation.
Okay, yes. And of course, we know that with child support, that is one. I spoke to a lady today. She has to be paying child support, and she's just going through a whole lot of mess, So what people don't know, and what she was saying to me is that she was in jail, and of course the other parent had to be taking care of the children. But what I didn't know, with her coming out of jail, she had to be paying, now they expect her to pay those child supports that she didn't pay for those years that she spent in jail. So she was just so deep in debt, it was very, very sad for her. So that is, why I try to tell people that if you're working, don't spend all of what you got, save some of your money, don't max out your cards, because if you have to be paying certain bills like those child support, taxes, you don't want to be not paying it, because there's going to be a consequence,
Yes.
So those are some of the things that we see regularly. People are owing on taxes, they're owing on child support, medical bills, student loans, and they're like up to their neck and they don't know what to do. So usually what people don't understand is that when it's government, like in terms of your taxes, child support, we can't even touch that. You gotta pay that bill. You may get, like, if they're having a forgiveness program, they'll forgive that debt, but we can't really do anything about it. But if you have like tax liens, yes, we can remove it, but you're still gonna be owing that debt, and that's what people don't seem to understand. Because we're only saying to the credit agencies to remove it from your credit report, but that does not mean if the bill is to be paid, you gotta pay it, right? Okay. All right. So you're listening to the Coffee and Tea Time Show with Lorraine, TBTs, and Opal Coffee Barns. And we have in the studio today Kristen Goss. She's an attorney. She does estate planning. She does divorce. And we want, as we always say, to have our listeners, to have those that are viewing every week, we want to have you educated. We don't want you to be in the dark. And also, we want you to be ready that, God forbid, if you were to die. That is why Kristen is here today. She does estate planning. call her up because she'll be happy to help you to get your estate in order. And also, you're going through a divorce, talk to her. She's also a mediator and she can help you to make the right decisions. Right, Kristen?
And for fathers who are trying to get establish their parental rights, you're able to help them as well.
Talk about that.
That is probably a very popular thing that is now, a lot of my clients, unfortunately, are fathers. I had one in particular, his child was taken away from him because mom was being vindictive, and he didn't understand, he didn't have rights. And it's like, unfortunately, in the state of Florida, if you have a child with someone and you are not married and you are the father, even though you are the father, you have to establish that you are the father.
Absolutely.
If not, you can be paying child support, but you might not be seeing your child.
That's right.
That is terrible.
So yes.
Yes, it is, but that's the law.
Yes, that is
you
the
have
law.
You have to file your papers. You have to see an attorney.
Wow. So that father, what he's going to have to do a paternity test? What are some of the procedures that he's going to have to follow?
So he did take a DNA test. Recently, we did mediation, and thankfully, I was able to represent him to the point where he has equal time sharing with his child. So he's ecstatic, and the child is able to spend time with both mom and dad, which is what should be.
Exactly. And that is one of my pet peeves that I always say, and we're going to have a show on that, because, women use their children to really manipulate the relationship that went sour, and they should not do that because they're damaging that child more than they're even hurting the man. The man can always go on and have another family if he wants to, but that child is going to be damaged for a very, very, a long
and
time.
they should honor the fact that the father wants to be in the child's life.
Exactly.
And not be vindictive. I have a question though. What if you're doing a paternity, and I'm not sure if you've ever had this before, but the father wants to have visitation and they've been paying child support and now they're seeing an attorney to establish their parental rights, and you do a DNA and it comes back that it's not the father.
That has never happened to me, thankfully, but I have heard of situations like that. And to that father, he will just continue paying child support.
Really? That is terrible. So what if they find out that the man is not the father, later on when the kids say maybe turn 18, does he get back some of his money?
No, he does not.
Wow.
That was considered a gift. Unless, the real father steps up to the plate and comes forward, but once child support starts and he starts paying,
and he has to pay until the child is 18, even though that child is not his.
Yes.
Wow. So that's why, man, you got to be careful out there.
Absolutely.
Right? Don't pay this deep consequence. I remember, this may be a little crazy joke for what we're talking about right now, but this friend of mine was telling me about an in-law who decided what happened. The woman who had the child for him waited until the child was 18 before she came after him for that child support. He decided he was not going to pay it, he'd rather die. And of course the law extends to Jamaica, so he went to Jamaica thinking that he would get away with it. But of course it extended down there, and it came on him that he would still have to pay that. He decided he was going to kill himself. So he started shooting himself from the foot up. Okay, but then he still didn't die.
That's a joke.
So seriously,
the story is fake news.
It's not no fake news.
Oh my God! I guess it was meant for him to pay.
So the point I'm trying to say is that we have to be responsible in so many ways. Choosing even a partner, think twice. You might sometimes see red flags. To me, when you get married, it should be forever. You shouldn't have to be married 2 years and then you divorce next year or 2 years later. Come on, keep it together. Be responsible, because then
we'll have to go to attorney Gross.
Yeah, and it's not even want to make some money, but it's like it's just a bad cycle. And then of course your credit get messed up. Come on. So This is why we are having this show, because we want people to start being more responsible in what they're doing, so that they don't
making
end up
financial
stressed out
decisions,
and in
and
the red.
even with relationships.
Yes.
You know, making better decisions. You know, for each other, especially when you have kids involved.
Right. Okay, and we're gonna take a little break, and when we come back, Issa is here and she's gonna join us. Now remember last week they were gonna have the raids and we saw chaos just happening all over the place. So she's back and she's gonna be talking to us a little bit more about what's going on.
Yes.
So stay tuned to the Coffee and Tea Time show here on flexfm.live.
I said I tell them already, and I will tell them again. I will tell them again. Alright. Hey, you bang me. Hey, you bang me. Hey, you bang me. Then cockatoo, jaja no cockatoo, come again. Alright. Because me have a many friends and me will treat them well, but never to them my secret tell. Cause when my friends become my foe, all over the world my story will go. So you be cockatoo, come again. Alright, see, so you be you bang be you. Hey, you be you bang then. Hey, you be you bang be you. Cockatoo, come again. Because I tell them once, I tell them twice, I tell them thrice, Lord Jesus Christ. I tell them 4, I tell them 5. Cockatoo come for keep us as on, so yes alive. Boy, so you be you bang be you bang bang. You be you bang be you. Cockatoo, come again. Ooh, yeah. Say mix me digital, say mix me wisely, say mix me digital and make a second steady. Say mix me digital, mix me wisely. Cockatoo, lad, I got cockatoo, come again. So hear me now, yes. Hey, you be you bang be you then. Hey, you be you bang yeah. Hey, you be you bang be then. Digital, lad, I got digital, come again. So watch out the girls, them a skank up for we. So watch out the passes, them a wind up for we. Some a scat dip on them hands and some a scat dip on them knee. Them say that this a style a full of versatility. None of requests to the arcade posse. Oh watch out them trash lad, look how them ready. Cockatoo lad, I got cockatoo come again. Oh yo, so hey, you bang me young then. Hey, you be you bang young. Hey, you be you bang me young. Hey, you be you bang young. Hey, you be you bang young. Cockatoo lad, I got cockatoo come again. Well, because me sing it for me enemy, me sing it for my friend, me sing it for the bullet and me sing it for the end. And yes, a cockatoo lad, they come for one them. Cockatoo lad, I got cockatoo come again. Oh yeah, so hey, you be you bang then. Hey, you be you bang then. Hey, you be you bang be you then. Hey, you be you bang then. Cockatoo lad, I got cockatoo come again. Oh yeah, so you be you bang be you. You be
All right, and we are back here on the Coffee and Tea Time show. We have two beautiful ladies who are, of course, we had Kristen, and now we have the beautiful Issa. And we are gonna continue with some of what we were speaking about last week. Now, if you were listening last week, we had a situation where, as you know, the immigration situation here in the United States, there were gonna be raids. People were going to be once more torn apart, families being torn apart. And one of the things I know Issa had asked me to tell everyone before is that you have a power of attorney for your children. And I'm going to let her talk some more about that.
Yes.
But it's a big thing that's going on. And one of the things we want you to do is to be educated. So that is why she's back with us tonight. And we're just going to be talking to both ladies as we go along before we close out. But first, Issa, welcome.
Welcome back.
Very happy to be here with you guys. Very happy to meet you. I would like to let everyone know that today is supposed to be the last day for the raids, and so far, at least in the state of Florida, has been really quiet.
Yes.
So we do think this was a marketing strategy for our president to basically put everyone on their toes and to later say, I've been fighting for immigration to move his base, but instead of raids, we just received stress, nothing else. So sleep assured tonight. So,
all right. So we were speaking to Kristen about estate planning and having a power of attorney where your children are concerned. We see with what is happening, because right now children, and I don't know about the parents, but we know that children are being housed in government buildings because the family is now torn apart. The kids were probably born here, so they get to stay, but the parents are sent back wherever country they came from. So what's the importance of having that power of attorney that you told us to talk about?
For anyone that it has a status that could be facing deportation, somebody like the attorney you have here today, it's extremely useful because it's good to have beyond your passport and all the documentation that you need, basically. Another one that you should add to the list is a power of attorney as to what to do with your children. These raids happen regularly, as I mentioned in the last show. Normally they're not announced, and they would happen at strange times, either at 4 o'clock in the morning or when the children are at school, maybe at your job. So you would like to have a power of attorney stating, if, God forbid, something happens in a raid and I cannot be reached, I would like my child to stay with this person, this person has authority to pick them up, etc. There's a way to protect yourself, to sleep better at night, knowing that no matter what, your children will not be placed
Put
in
in a
foster
system.
care. Exactly. Because you have that power of attorney.
So had these parents who are now dispersed, probably back in Mexico or whatever country the Caribbean islands
they're from,
if they had done that, even though they are not documented as a citizen or immigrant, that would have been a legal document that would hold.
Absolutely correct. You can have a power of attorney regardless of your status and choose your children. Understand that some of the children are born in the U.S., so they will not be taken to, for example, one of the temporary shelters that we have in Homestead, Florida. Instead, they would like to look for a sponsor, otherwise they'll be placed in the system. In fact, when you're coming here to the United States, and let's say, God forbid, you're separated out of the border, although they say they're not doing that anymore, but let's say it happens, if you have a power of attorney already with you as you're coming with your child, if your child is taken from you, it would be easier for the sponsor, whoever you've assigned, to reach that child. And that's the issue we have right now here in Florida with the children at the Homestead Detention Center, because there's nobody to claim them, and the people that can claim them maybe need to get fingerprinted, maybe they don't have status. So these children stay there for sometimes 3 to 8 months waiting for a sponsor to come pick them up. So power of attorney is not only for people here, for people coming here. They should definitely call you no matter what.
Right. Now, 1 minute, Opal, I know you have a question for Issa, but I don't want to, this one has been in my head. In terms of those children that were born here, they're US citizens. Why is it they were not just sent back with their parents, then they can come back when they're 18 if they desire to do so?
It's actually a big problem in the system. They won't notify the children that the parents have been taken away until it's too late. For example, if you have a removal order, meaning you were already deported and you have children, they can pick you up and put you on a plane before your child even knows about it. In fact, that's what happened with many people coming into the United States. They were together, but they were separated, parents sent back to their home countries, and the child, who also didn't have status, was left here in the United States.
Why is that allowed, though?
It's one of the big mistakes in the government and the way they manage this. It's about lack of planning, lack of understanding their own system. Some of these children,
I would say.
Yes, it's in a way it was done as a deterrent to don't come here and don't come with your children, which if you think about it can make sense. The problem is, as you mentioned, that U.S. citizen child who's here, why is he to blame for the problems of the parents?
Exactly.
So that's where the lack of communication comes into play, and that's where if we can at least be proactive and have this power of attorney, at the very least that's one protection for your children until we figure out what to do with the person who might be getting deported.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so the power of attorney, say for instance you have people trying to come to this country with their children, they're both undocumented immigrants. you're saying that they should have a power of attorney for someone in their country or someone in the United States.
Someone in the
That's
United
legal.
States. Most of the people that are coming here are coming to reunite with a family member. Or they come because they know someone here. It's very few of the people that just come randomly because they feel like it. You come out of a need and you come here because there's someone here that you know can help you.
Right.
If you can at least list that person as a sponsor for your child, if you are separated, then the person would be placed on notice, know that this might happen, and it would be easier for the government to release your child in the case that you might be separated.
But that child is undocumented just like their parents, so why would they stay and the parents be returned?
There was an class action suit and a case called Flores that talks specifically about children detention. And when a child is coming here, they can't simply deny asylum because they feel like it. You need to understand nobody chooses to make this treacherous trip just because.
Right.
So there's a reason a child is here. So the government is to assume, okay, there's a reason, let's give the most flexible detention, meaning no more than 20 days in a flexible environment, and eventually release them so that they can continue with the asylum. That has not been enforced in these temporary centers. That's why people are staying for 8 months or longer. But we're hoping that now that things have changed since February 2019, they would be better and easier for sponsors to go get these children and to have some of them reunited with their parents wherever they may be.
Okay.
But are they able to locate their parents? Because I think that may be some of the issues.
We have a serious issue with disclosure. The government has not been fully upfront with all of us. They estimate there might be around 300 children that they don't know where their parents are. And because these are children, it's really difficult to have somebody. Yes. If you're a 2-year-old or a 3-month-old child, it's very difficult to speak for them.
Exactly.
And the parents have been deported. The last story, which is, in my opinion, very traumatic, is a child whose parents going to get deported, and the deportation officer tells them, okay, choose which parent you want to keep. One or the other. In front of the child, it's a 3-year-old child. That's the last incident. And we need to keep in mind, these are not raids. This is just normal ICE behavior. So we should all be careful. Once again, I said it last time and I'll emphasize it always. Don't live in fear. Live your life normally. You understand that you have rights. Don't live in fear, but be smart, be prepared.
Be prepared. That's the key.
Para todas las personas que están viendo en español, hoy estamos hablando del poder de un abogado, lo que llaman en inglés power of attorney. Por favor, tomen el tiempo de ver a una abogada como la señorita que tenemos aquí hoy o a las señoritas que siempre ven todas las noches para que les den un consejo de cómo hacer este poder de abogado. Este poder de abogado le puede dar custodia de su hijo si usted desea traerlo de su país para acá por cualquier razón, de manera que su hijo no sea detenido por meses en lo que consiguen la persona que va a tener la custodia. Y si por cualquier razón usted está aquí en los Estados Unidos y teme ser deportado, el tener este poder de abogado determinando qué hacer con su hijo le podría ayudar para que su hijo no quede en un estatus de limbo o se meta a lo que llaman el sistema en caso de que usted no pueda estar para ir para su hijo. That was in Spanish, brief summary.
All right. So, I believe that there's still, even though we're saying, live your life, don't be in fear, there is still fear there.
Of course, it's reasonable.
This is imminent. What's going on is going to continue. And without announcement, I'm sure, because as you said last time, is that this is ongoing. This has been going on for a while, even though it wasn't announced. What do you think is the agenda for that? For causing this kind of fear and terror and panic?
That's a great question. When we were with President Obama, he was actually called the deporter in chief because he has been the president up to this administration who deported the most amount of individuals. But his agenda was targeting criminals, anyone with a criminal background, specific crimes.
And I can understand that.
Exactly. That was a clear agenda. It's also good for all of us that are immigrants who are image. We don't want these people here. The agenda for the current administration is deterrent. Like TV mentioned, this more, don't come here, you're not welcome. Sadly, if we look at the news recently from this administration, not even that recently, from the campaign, that we were told that people that were coming here had certain characteristics that we were criminal. So it's not
murderers
that much
rapists.
Exactly. It's not that much of a surprise when now we have somebody who doesn't make a difference if you're a criminal or not. Simply it's a matter of deterrent. Nobody coming in, we're going to kick everyone out. The reason I keep emphasizing the live your life is because these raids, once again going to a specific point, have been happening since Obama, happened during Trump, happened during Clinton. People with removal orders or people without status have always been subject to
and we know that.
have ICE pick you
But
up.
now it's like what I don't like about it. It's like it wants people to live in fear, cause chaos, and divide families, and even the children. Putting kids into camps or whatever. It sounds almost kind of like going into a Nazi thing. I keep saying that because one of the things is the children need to be with their parents. So my contention is send them back to whatever country with their parents. I don't care if they were born here, because that child is going to grow up not knowing who his or her family is if the whole situation that's going on right now does not get solved.
Well, the policy with United States-born children has always been they don't send them back with the parents. Of course, once the parent is removed and the child knows that the parent is in whatever country, they can choose to go with them. Yes. But because you're a U.S. citizen, you have the right to choose. You have the right to stay here if you want or go with your parent. The outrage is more, why detain someone when the child is in school?
Exactly.
You already know you're going to do it. Why can't you show up at a reasonable time and simply say, here's your warrant. I have to take you. There's no choice. I have to do this.
Right.
The job could be done in a more humane way, which is the issue we have with ICE, that the way they behave, and when we thought maybe there's something we don't understand about the policy, then later on things are uncovered, like their own behavior and their own officers, the way they behave is simply a scare tactic. So sadly, we need to prepare for that.
And the word that you use, operative word you just used, is humanitarian. It's
Correct.
as if there's nothing humanitarian about what's going on right now, and that's not good. That to me does not say much for America, because one of the things people forget is that America was built on immigration. People immigrated from their countries throughout the years to build America, other than, of course, when they snatch a couple of black people out of Africa to enslave them here, which is another story. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say is the crops in the field will perish without being reaped because immigrants came and did that kind of work. Most Americans who were born here are not going to go do it. Cleaning, lawn service, certain things immigrants come here to do that people who are born here are not going to be doing.
Absolutely correct. And you're absolutely correct in that we forget. And it seems to be that we're choosing which type of immigrants we want.
Exactly.
And the criteria, the president might sometimes say, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit political, but the criteria the president might sometimes say it's based on whether you speak the language or your skills, but the reality seems to be that it's based on your color of the skin.
So that's what it seems to me.
So based on that, I hope I am wrong. I really do hope so.
Yes.
But based on the scare tactics that we have seen, it's good to be prepared.
Yes,
But
because you are seeing, you're an immigration attorney, so you see this every day, so you're actually seeing the face of whatever ugly we're looking at.
Sadly, I see a big difference. I've been doing this for over 12 years, and I see a big difference when I started and I was a baby attorney, and I still love immigration law, but I was a little bit happier doing it, and now it's a little bit scarier, but it motivates me even more. So I keep enjoying it.
The question I want to ask, so you mentioned, okay, you're hoping to see that ICE would come at an appropriate time when the parents is home from work, the kids are home from school, if they're going to do that removal.
Correct.
But even if they do do the removal at that point, the kids are separated because they're not going to put in the same facility as the adults.
Well, that's where the humanitarian, the humane aspect would come in. There's nothing wrong with the example that I gave, which is sadly a true story that recently happened of a poor child being forced to choose which parent they wanted to stay. But at the very least, if you're going to take a parent, you can say, okay, make a phone call. Make a phone call because I have a warrant for your arrest. Make a phone call so that somebody can pick up your child. Do you have a power of attorney? Anyone that can pick up your child. That's a humane way to take away the trauma. Instead of putting the child in the traumatic position of having to pick a parent, you can tell the parent, sadly, I have a warrant for both of your arrests. which one of you wishes to stay here with the child because I have to do this. It's something I have to do, instead of the humiliation of the process.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Now, you have been watching the Coffee and Tea Time show here on flexfm.live with Opal and myself. We have been speaking to attorney Kristen Goss, and we have Issa here with us. She was here with us last week. Now, we looked at the aspect of your estate planning. And Kristen, as what, just to tie in with what Issa just said, in terms of setting up your estate, it doesn't mean that you have to be an American citizen or a resident. You still need certain documentation that, God forbid, you have to be deported and your child, you need to know who's going to take care of your child while you are separated. And this is what you do. Okay? So this is why we want people to know the law. You have to know what's going on. Don't be in the dark. Don't be afraid. Ask questions. And we are making sure that we bring on the professionals on this program so that people get the education or the edification that they need each week, because we don't, to me, it is just chaos. It's just chaos what is happening right now. Whether it be a scare tactic, we don't know. But at the same time, just to know that young people are being housed away from their parents, that's not good. And you need your power of attorney. Tell the people once more, Kristen, why it is so important to have that.
It is so important because without that, if something, well, I'll let Isa speak on the immigration side, but on the estate planning side, if you don't, you'll be screwed in a nutshell.
Okay.
Husbands can't make decisions for their wives. If a wife is in the hospital and needs a major medical transaction and there's no power of attorney or there's no health care surrogate designation, then a guardianship will have to happen.
Right.
And that means money to the courts, the court system getting involved, which is a big no-no. So that's extremely important to make sure you have your affairs in order.
Issa, in terms of the parents, I know we spoke a bit about it last, but I want some clarification. One of the parents might be a resident here or a citizen, the other is not. Just tell us a little bit more. The one who may get deported because they're undocumented, what are the things that can be done in the meantime for that person?
Well, anyone who has a removal order and maybe has a spouse or a parent or even a child who has status could reopen their case and maybe try to that way adjust their status. If you're married to somebody who doesn't have a removal order, simply does not have status, there are many options depending on how the person came into the country. If they came in with a valid visa, even if years have passed, you can still adjust status legally here in the U.S. But let's say that person crossed the border or come on a boat, there are waivers available that would help you adjust your status. You would just have to go home and get your green card. But a good attorney can help you so that you don't have to go home forever or wait a long time. Simply go get your green card and come back. Stay with your family the largest amount of time.
So that's an option for them. They go back, they be deported, but the paperwork is being filed and taken care of on this side.
Definitely.
And then they can come back later.
In fact, the way I process the cases of individuals that have crossed borders or came on boats, I will process the entire paperwork here in the U.S. with the person with me. And I will not let them travel until I have everything approved. And once I have everything approved and I know that this person will receive their green card, then I give them the green light to go home. And sometimes you can even do this just while you're illegal without needing a deportation order, because court can be traumatic for some people. So understand, you don't have to be deported. These are just options. So if you have that family member who is a citizen or a resident and you love that person, go for it. Now is the time to do it.
All right. So tell us again, what are the rights of undocumented immigrants?
The main right is the right to remain silent. That applies to everyone. Somebody knocks on your door, you don't have to open unless they show you a warrant. And if they say, I have a warrant for your arrest, show me this warrant. Slide it under the door. It must have your name, it must have your address, it must have the date. If the date is wrong, the address is wrong, the name belongs to someone else, you can say, no, that's not me. Sorry, have a nice day.
Okay.
If you're walking, the same thing applies. You have the right to remain silent. What's your name? What's your status? Excuse me, officer, am I being arrested? Am I being detained? No, you're not. I just need to know your name. Oh, so thank you, officer. I'm very busy. I need to go. Done.
Okay.
You don't have to engage. You don't have to engage. And if you are arrested, you do have the right to an attorney. Sadly, in immigration, they're not free, but we are available.
Right.
Okay, just tell us where we can locate you.
Well, I'm all the way down in Miami, but I still will travel, and everyone's welcome to Miami. I am on 782 Northwest 42nd Avenue on Lejeune Road, Suite 639. But you can always call me at 305-938-0676. Once again, 305-938-0676.
And Ms. Kristen, tell our listeners once more where you're located.
Yes, I am located at 6750 North Andrews Avenue, Suite 200, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33309. And my phone number is 954-695-6512. Again, that is 954-695-6512.
Okay. And Opal and myself, we are with the LMC Financial Services. We are mobile. We are also national. You want to call us, 954-226-4112.
954-446-4001.
And all it takes is a phone call, or we can get online with you, get you enrolled, get you set up.
Get you started to get
you
back on
started.
track with your credit
If
and
you want
your
to-
will, living trust, power of attorney.
Exactly.
If you don't have credit, we can help you to build.
There you go. So call us, 954-226-4112 or 954-446-4001. And we are happy to be here on the Coffee and Tea Time Show, bringing you guests that are educated, knowledgeable about what's going on, whether it be your immigration, whether it be your credit, whether it be just planning your estate, whatever it is, we're going to find the professionals each week so that we can have you educated.
And just, exercising wisdom in
Yes.
everything that you
Yes.
do.
Yes. So ladies, we thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very
taking
much.
time
Great being
to come
here.
on and joining us, and we really appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, listeners, for
Thank you,
tuning in
listeners.
again this week to the Coffee and Tea Time Show.
Have a great rest of your week. See you next Thursday.
See you then.
See you then.
I said I tell them already, and I will tell them again. I will tell them again. Alright. Hey, you bang me. Hey, you bang me. Hey, you bang me. Cockatoo, jaja no cockatoo, come again. Alright. Because me have a many friends and me will treat them well, but never to them my secret tell. Cause when my friends become my foe, all over the world my story will go. So you be cockatoo, come again. Alright, see, so you be you bang be you bang then, hey, you be you bang be you cockatoo, come again. Because I tell them once, I tell them twice, I tell them thrice, Lord Jesus Christ. I tell them four, I tell them five, cockatoo come for keep this a dance, oh yes alive. Boy, so you be you bang be you bang bang, you be you bang be you cockatoo, come again. Ooh, yeah. Say mix me digital, say mix me wisely, say mix me digital and make a second steady. Say mix me digital, mix me wisely. Cockatoo lada cat, cockatoo come again. So hear me now, yes. Here you be you bang be you then. Here you be you bang yang. Here you be you bang be then. Digital lada cat, digital come again. So watch out the girls, them a skank up for we. So watch out the passes, them a wind up for we. Some a scat dip on them hands, and some a scat dip on them knee. Them say that this a style a full of versatility. None of requests to the arcade posse. Oh, watch out them trash lad, look how them ready. Cockatoo lad, that cockatoo him come again. Oh, yo, so hey, yugi you bang be young then. You be you bang young. Hey, you be Me sing it for the pull it and me sing it for the end. And yes, a Pocotilla, the comfy one. Pocotilla, that bad Pocotilla, come again. Oh, yo, 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 so. You bang, you bang, show you be, you bang, be, you bang, Pocotilla, that Pocotilla, come again. Oh, yo, yo, so. Show you be, you bang, be, show you be, you young, you bang,
Can't ball in a life, man. Go on with it, go on with it.
Yo, Izzy, are you kidding me?
To us, yeah. So we are coming here with a force, yeah. Blessings we are reap and we coursing on full. Oh, we not rise and boast. Yeah, we give thanks like we need it the most. We have to give thanks like we really supposed to be thankful. Blessings all for my life and my thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall by my right hand. But I toast for the friends who take off every load. One time did sit down in a class and we bored, then only said the road and we go on with the road. Third form, me say me try a thing, and you know it formed up to be a fire thing. Now up on stage with chronic say I sing, yeah, see me all diggy soon get the higher ring like hello brother. Me say I had to shot ya, saw your poster, spectacular photo. Keep it burning, yes that's the motto. If me the butter pass through your soul to can't ball in a life man. Me have to thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall by my right hand. But I toast to the friends we take off every load. One time they sit down in a class and we bored, then only said the road and we go on with it, go on with it. That's how our blessings upon me. And send me to tell you my story. That's how our blessings upon me. And that's how I made to give him the glory. I'm delighted. Jah knows I'm passion ignited. Got the music get me excited. Coming like a potion. Blessings all for my life and my thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall by my right hand. But I toast for the friends we take off every load. One time did sit down in a class and we bored, then only said the road and we go on with the road. Toast, yeah, yeah. Toast. Oh, we not rise and boast. Yeah, we give thanks. We have to give thanks like we really supposed to be thankful. Blessings all for my life and my thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall by my right hand. But I toast for the friends we take off every load. One time did sit down in a class and we bored, then
Time now
only
by
said
Flexx
the road.
FM is
It's 9 o'clock. The current temperature, 89 degrees.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station. Flexx FM.
Why advertise with Flexx FM?
Advertising on Flexx FM radio brings the community to your doorstep.
Your commercial is professionally produced. We offer competitive rates and our own flexible payment plans.
Do you want the word out about your new established business?
And create dedicated customers. Then advertise on Flexx FM radio.
Advertising with Flexx